When you feel like quitting, it's crucial to understand what that feeling represents. It's not a failure in itself, it's a signal. It's your mind and body telling you that you're at the edge of your competence, at the border between chaos and order. And while that place is uncomfortable, it's also where all the growth happens. You see, the desire to quit often arises because we are overwhelmed, discouraged, or uncertain. It's a natural human response to hardship. But here's the question: is quitting the solution, or is it a way of avoiding the solution? More often than not, it's the latter. Life is a series of challenges, and each one has the potential to make you stronger, more competent, and more resilient if you confront it head on. When you feel like giving up, think about why you started. Reflect on the path that brought you to this point. You didn't arrive here by accident. There was a goal, a purpose, something meaningful that drove you to take on this challenge. Reconnecting with that initial spark can remind you that the struggle is part of the process. You're not failing because it's hard, you're succeeding because you're trying. And don't underestimate the power of incremental progress. People tend to think change happens in massive, dramatic shifts, but real transformation is often slow and painstaking. It's the daily grind of getting a little better, a little stronger, and a little more disciplined. Every time you push through the temptation to quit, you're not just accomplishing the task at hand, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that you can endure discomfort, that you can overcome obstacles, and that you're capable of more than you thought. This is also where responsibility becomes a guiding force. When you're overwhelmed, it's easy to lose sight of why your actions matter, but they do. They matter to you, to the people who depend on you, and to the larger framework of your life. Responsibility isn't just a burden, it's a source of meaning. When you persevere in the face of difficulty, you're not just checking off tasks, you're defining who you are. And let's not forget the importance of breaking the task down. When the whole picture feels insurmountable, focus on the smallest piece you can manage. Ask yourself, what's the next step I can take, no matter how small? Then take it. Success isn't about doing everything at once, it's about doing the next thing, then the next, and the next. Before you know it, you've built something you can be proud of. Finally, when you feel like quitting, recognize the opportunity that lies within the struggle. Every challenge is a test, and every test is an invitation to grow. The person you'll become on the other side of this difficulty is worth the effort. So don't just see the struggle as an obstacle, see it as a forge, a crucible where your potential is tempered into reality. You don't know how far you can go until you push past the point where you want to stop. That's where the real breakthroughs happen. So when you feel like quitting, don't. Take a breath, recalibrate, and keep moving forward. Not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, but because the person you want to become is on the other side of this moment. When you feel like quitting, it's important to understand that this sensation is not necessarily a sign of failure or weakness. Instead, it's a signal that you are pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone and into the territory where growth happens. The discomfort you're experiencing is a natural part of the human experience, especially when you are striving to improve or accomplish something significant. It's easy to view difficulty and frustration as obstacles, but in reality, these moments are the very ones that contribute to your development as an individual. The desire to quit typically arises when we reach a point of significant challenge or stress. It's often tied to feelings of being overwhelmed, discouraged, or uncertain about the outcome. These feelings are not inherently negative, they are a part of the learning process. In fact, it's in these moments that you have the opportunity to build resilience. The truth is, everyone faces difficult moments. Everyone experiences the temptation to quit. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to this challenge. What's crucial to realize is that when you feel like quitting, it often means you are on the verge of a breakthrough. It's easy to assume that the struggle indicates a limit to your abilities, but the opposite is true. The struggle itself is what indicates you are testing your limits and moving toward the next stage of growth. This concept is central to personal development, the idea that growth occurs at the edges of your comfort zone, where everything feels unfamiliar and daunting. Rather than seeing these difficult moments as a signal to stop, it's essential to reframe them as a chance to strengthen your character. Every time you push through a moment of wanting to quit, you're building your capacity for resilience and perseverance. It's in these moments that you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. You start to realize that the discomfort you're experiencing is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but a sign that you are challenging yourself in ways that are meaningful and productive. Furthermore, it's important to recognize that this struggle often provides valuable lessons that would be missed if you chose to quit. The journey toward success is rarely smooth or linear. It is filled with setbacks, frustrations, and moments of doubt. However, these very challenges force you to adapt, to problem solve, and to discover creative solutions. Each obstacle you overcome helps you become more resourceful and more prepared for future difficulties. In this way, the experience of overcoming difficulty becomes an essential part of your personal and professional growth. Rather than viewing difficulty as something to avoid, embrace it as a teacher. The process of facing and overcoming challenges is what helps you refine your skills, sharpen your focus, and deepen your understanding of what is truly important to you. Challenges are the testing ground for your potential. They reveal both your weaknesses and your strengths, providing opportunity to adjust and grow. Ultimately, when you feel like quitting, it's essential to pause and reassess the situation. Rather than giving in to the temptation to walk away, consider what you are learning in the moment of struggle. Ask yourself, what can I take from this experience? What lesson am I being taught right now? The reality is that you are more capable than you give yourself credit for, and the discomfort you feel is just part of the process. Push through it, and on the other side, you'll find a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more prepared to tackle the next challenge. In moments when you feel overwhelmed and tempted to quit, it's vital to reconnect with the purpose that originally drove you. Our minds tend to focus on immediate challenges, the obstacles, the frustrations, the doubts, and in doing so, we lose sight of the larger picture. This loss of perspective can make the task at hand feel insurmountable. When you're in the thick of a difficult situation, it can be easy to forget why you started in the first place. Reconnecting with that initial purpose is a powerful tool for overcoming the urge to give up. Purpose acts as a compass, guiding you through uncertainty and helping you navigate the tough moments. It's the reason you embarked on this journey, the underlying motivation that sparked your decision to take on the challenge. Whether it was a goal to improve yourself, to provide for others, to achieve a personal ambition, or to make a meaningful contribution, that purpose has the potential to reignite your eye when you feel like quitting. When you feel lost or stuck, remembering your why can serve as a reminder of what's truly at stake and why it matters to you. This is particularly important because in times of difficulty, our focus narrows. We become fixated on the obstacles we face in the present moment, and we may lose sight of the fact that these challenges are stepping stones to achieving something more significant. When your motivation falters, the original purpose that inspired your journey can provide the clarity and strength needed to push forward. For example, think about how people often set long-term goals. Whether it's pursuing an education, building a career, or working toward a personal achievement, these goals are often motivated by a deeper sense of meaning. But as the journey unfolds, obstacles arise, and the process may become tedious, frustrating, or demoralizing. This is when you're most vulnerable to the temptation of quitting. In these moments, remembering why you started, the deeper purpose behind your actions can reframe the struggle as part of a larger, meaningful pursuit. Purpose is a psychological anchor that keeps you grounded during turbulent times. When your purpose is clear, it becomes easier to endure temporary discomfort or setbacks because you can keep your eyes on the bigger goal. Think about a long road trip. During the journey, you may encounter traffic, detours, or exhaustion, but the destination, the place you want to reach, is what keeps you going. Without that destination in mind, the journey can feel aimless and discouraging. Similarly, in life, the challenges you face are much more bearable when you remember the end goal that motivates your efforts. It's also important to recognize that reconnecting with your purpose is not just about the end result, but also about the process itself. The journey, with all its ups and downs, contributes to your personal growth and transformation. When you focus solely on the destination, you might overlook the value of what you're learning along the way. The lessons you gain from overcoming obstacles, managing adversity, and maintaining focus are just as important as the goal itself. In times of doubt, take a moment to reflect on the purpose that initially inspired you. Ask yourself why you started this journey and how it aligns with your values, your aspirations, and the life you want to build. Reconnecting with this purpose will give you the mental and emotional strength to persevere. Purpose is not just a reason to continue. It is the driving force that helps you push through the moments when quitting seems like the easiest option. By focusing on why you started, you'll find the resolve to keep moving forward even when the road gets tough. One of the most important lessons to remember when facing difficulty is that growth and success are not immediate or dramatic. More often than not, progress occurs in small, incremental steps rather than giant leaps. It's easy to become frustrated when results aren't immediately visible or when the progress feels slow. But this is a natural part of any meaningful pursuit. The journey toward your goal is made up of countless little moments, each one contributing to a larger transformation. When you feel like quitting, it's crucial to remember that persistence, not instant success, is what leads to real change. Every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. Too often, we expect immediate results, and when they don't come, we start to question whether our efforts are worthwhile. The reality is that growth rarely happens all at once. It's more often a gradual process that requires consistency and patience. In fact, some of the most profound changes occur so slowly that they're difficult to notice in the moment. It's only when you step back and look at how far you've come that the true impact of your efforts becomes clear. For example, when you start a new habit, whether it's exercising, learning a new skill, or working on a long-term project, you may not see immediate results. You may not feel stronger, more knowledgeable, or more successful after a single session or day of work. This is where many people falter. They assume that if they don't see dramatic results quickly, they must not be making any progress at all. But this is where the power of incremental progress comes in. Success is built over time through a series of small actions that accumulate into something greater. These small actions might not seem significant in the moment, but together, they create the foundation for larger achievements. It's the consistent effort of showing up each day, even when the results are not immediately visible, that leads to long-term success. This is a principle seen in all areas of life, whether it's physical fitness, academic achievement, or personal development. The key to real change is persistence. It's about committing to the process even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Additionally, focusing on small steps helps break down overwhelming tasks into manageable pieces. When faced with a large project or goal, it can be easy to become daunted by the enormity of the task. The thought of completing it all can trigger feelings of inadequacy or defeat. But by focusing on the next immediate step, just one small action at a time, you take the pressure off yourself to perform perfectly and instead allow yourself to make steady, manageable progress. The beauty of incremental progress is that it builds momentum. As you continue to take small steps, you gradually gain confidence and experience. This momentum makes the next step easier and helps you move forward with greater ease. Before you know it, the small, consistent actions that seemed insignificant at first have compounded, leading to substantial change and growth. Patience is key when it comes to seeing results. Realize that you don't have to achieve everything right now. Instead, focus on the next step, no matter how small it seems. Trust that by taking consistent action, you are moving in the right direction. The ability to embrace the small steps rather than expecting instant transformation is what ultimately leads to success. So when you feel like quitting, remember that incremental progress is the real measure of success. Every small step is a victory, and together they will bring you closer to your goal. Responsibility is often viewed as a burden, something that weighs us down and holds us back. Yet in reality, it is one of the most powerful forces you can rely on when you feel like quitting. Responsibility gives meaning and direction to your actions. It is not just about completing tasks or meeting obligations. It's about understanding that your actions have significance, not only for yourself, but for others as well. When you feel overwhelmed and tempted to give up, recognizing the weight of your responsibilities can be the very thing that keeps you going. At its core, responsibility is about ownership. It's about acknowledging that the choices you make, the efforts you put in, and the actions you take matter. When you take responsibility for your journey, you take ownership of both the successes and the setbacks. You accept that challenges will come, but you also recognize that you have the power to navigate them. This mindset shift is essential when you feel like quitting. Rather than seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance, you begin to see yourself as an active participant in shaping the outcomes of your life. Responsibility also helps to clarify what is truly important. When life gets tough, it's just easy to focus on the immediate discomfort or difficulty. But taking responsibility forces you to look beyond the momentary struggle and consider the bigger picture. Your responsibilities often stem from deeper values, commitments, and relationships, whether it's your career, your family, or personal goals. These responsibilities are rooted in what you care about most. When you remember why you have these responsibilities in the first place, it can reignite your sense of purpose and remind you why you need to keep going. For example, if you're working towards a career goal and face setbacks, it's easy to feel discouraged and consider quitting. But when you take responsibility for your actions and remind yourself of why you're doing this, to provide for your family, to achieve a dream you've always had, to contribute to a greater cause, the struggle takes on a new meaning. You realize that your actions are not just for you, they have a ripple effect that extends to the people around you and the world at large. The impact of your choices reaches far beyond the immediate task at hand. And this realization can give you the strength to push through the difficult moments. In addition, responsibility helps to ground you in moments of uncertainty. Life is full of unpredictable challenges, and there will be times when the path forward isn't clear. In these moments, taking responsibility for your actions can provide clarity. Rather than waiting for circumstances to change or for external forces to resolve the situation, responsibility empowers you to act. It means accepting that while you cannot control everything, you can control your response and your next steps. This control, even in small actions, gives you a sense of agency and prevents you from feeling helpless or powerless. When you accept responsibility for your journey, it's not about perfection, it's about taking consistent, intentional action toward your goals. Responsibility encourages you to keep going, even when the road gets rough, because you understand that it's your commitment to the process that makes all the difference. Even when results are not immediate or progress feels slow, the act of continuing to show up, to do your part, is the key to overcoming obstacles. Ultimately, embracing responsibility helps you find meaning in the struggle. When you take ownership of your life, your goals, and your actions, the difficulties you face are no longer just obstacles, they are opportunities to demonstrate your resilience, your determination, and your commitment to something greater than yourself. Responsibility transforms the journey from something you endure into something you actively shape. It turns every challenge into a chance to prove not just what you're capable of, but also why it's worth pushing through the moments of doubt. When faced with overwhelming challenges, one of the most effective ways to keep moving forward is to break the problem down into smaller, more manageable steps. Overwhelm often arises when we focus on the enormity of a task or goal without considering how to tackle it piece by piece. When everything feels insurmountable, the instinct may be to freeze or quit altogether. However, by focusing on the smallest next step, you can reduce the pressure and make the process feel more achievable. This approach not only makes progress more manageable, but also helps you build momentum over time. One of the main reasons people feel overwhelmed is that they look at the entire project or goal all at once. Whether it's a work assignment, a personal goal, or a long-term project, the sheer scope of the task can make it seem impossible. We might think that we have to do everything at once or that we need to have it all figured out right now. This mindset can lead to paralysis and a sense of helplessness. But if you shift your focus to what is achievable in the immediate moment, what can be done today, this hour, this minute, the situation starts to feel less daunting. By concentrating on the very next step, no matter how small, you take the focus away from the overwhelming size of the goal and direct it toward what's in your control right now. For example, if you're writing a large research paper and feel overwhelmed by the idea of completing the entire thing, break it down into individual sections. Focus first on gathering sources, then outlining the introduction, then writing one paragraph at a time. Each of these steps is small, and each contributes to the larger whole. The key is to take the task one step at a time and resist the temptation to look too far ahead. This method also helps to build momentum. Every time you complete a small step, you move closer to the larger goal, and each completed action gives you a sense of accomplishment. This feeling of progress, no matter how small, fuels your confidence and keeps you motivated. It also makes the next step feel easier because you've already gained a little momentum. Gradually, you start to see how the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and what once seemed like an insurmountable challenge now feels more like a series of tasks that can be tackled in succession. Another benefit of breaking tasks into smaller steps is that it helps reduce the risk of burnout. When we focus on the big picture without considering the individual tasks required, we can quickly become fatigued by the weight of the entire process. By focusing on smaller, achievable goals, you allow yourself to experience success along the way, which prevents frustration from building up. These small wins create a sense of progress and accomplishment, providing the energy to continue moving forward without feeling drained. Additionally, breaking a challenge down into smaller steps allows you to adjust your approach as you go. If you only focus on the final outcome, it can be easy to become stuck in a rigid mindset, especially if things aren't going as planned. But when you focus on the individual steps, you have the flexibility to adapt your strategy if needed. Perhaps the initial plan didn't work, but the next step offers new information or insights that can help you refine your approach. This adaptability allows you to keep moving forward even if the path isn't always clear. Ultimately, the key to overcoming feelings of overwhelm is understanding that you don't have to do everything at once. By breaking the challenge down into smaller, manageable tasks, you create a clear path forward. You give yourself permission to progress slowly, steadily, and with purpose. Over time, these small steps accumulate, and before you know it, the overwhelming challenge you faced has been tackled piece by piece. So when you feel like quitting, remember that you don't have to achieve everything in one go. Focus on the next small step and keep moving forward, one action at a time.